South Korea's women's football team has threatened to boycott the upcoming Asian Cup over poor working conditions. In a statement this week, the Korea Professional Footballers Association highlighted what it claims are discriminatory conditions, such as players having to cover the cost of airport transfers and their own training kits. Well, journalist for the Sports Ambassador, Tracey Holmes, joins me now from Sydney for more on this. Now, Tracey, can you tell us more about what the South Korean women's football team is claiming?
Yeah, so this actually dates back to some correspondence that the Korean Professional Footballers Association, the union body acting on behalf of the professional players, sent to the Korean Football Association towards the end of September 2025. And it outlined all of those claims that you were talking about, essentially very different style and approach in the way they treat the men's professional players and the men's national team compared to the women's professional players and its national team. So the things you mentioned, they have to pay their own airport transfer fees, they have to pay for their own training kit. They have to make their own way to certain areas. They have only economy class travel, often long bus trips. So it's basically a claim for equality, and they asked for the Korean Football Association to get back to them with a deadline of October 17. Now, we've heard no developments on that other than the Korean Football Association said they would look into it. And that is the last we heard until the story was made public this week.
Well, if the boycott does go ahead, what would that mean for the Asian Cup?
Well, I think it's important to point out that no team, male or female, has ever boycotted the Asian Cup before. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And I think especially for the women's game, because there are such limited opportunities to earn prize money. So both the nation, and you would hope then as members of the national team, they benefit from prize money earned at tournaments like this. So if they didn't come, they would be losing prize money and also their appearance fee. Having said that, if they do go through with this boycott, of course, it's a big deal, not just for the tournament and how that looks, but also for Australia, because Australia and South Korea are in the same group. It would also impact not just Australia's matches, but the matches against the other members in that group, the Philippines and Iran. So it would leave a very big hole in the tournament.
Well, as you say, Iran is also listed in this first round group alongside South Korea, Australia and the Philippines. With the situation in Iran right now, could the Iranian women's team also possibly be absent at the Asian Cup, do you think?
Look, I think this is probably a bigger story than South Korea. I expect the South Koreans will arrive, but we know what's going on in Iran at the moment, and these protests, there's no sign of the protests dying. We know the crackdown has also been incredibly negative, with even the regime accepting that more than 3,000 people have been killed, although that number is disputed. Other agencies say it's in a much bigger number. And so the question then becomes how this team is going to be treated by the regime itself. First of all, whether airspace will be open at the time that they're scheduled to leave and whether the team can hop on a plane to come to Australia. And plus what guarantees the regime may try and enforce on these women in order to say that we'll let you go and compete there, but you better make sure you're on the plane home. Otherwise, there will be repercussions for, family and loved ones because the regime has done this before. So there's all sorts of scenarios that are wrapped around the Iranian women's team at the moment, and could they come here and apply for asylum once they were here? That's a separate issue altogether. And I'm not suggesting that will happen, just that it is an option. So one of the things I think we should look carefully at is the Winter Olympics start on February 6th. That's an early indication ahead of the Asian Women's Cup, which starts on March 1, as to whether the Iranians will be able to travel, because there is an Olympic team from Iran that is due to compete at the Winter Olympics. So if they turn up in Milano Cortina, it may be an indication that the Iranian women's team will be turning up here for the Asian Women's Cup.
We'll be watching closely. Tracey, thank you so much.
Thanks, Yvonne.